Hey, how you going? Here's a quick explainer vid, unscripted mind you, but we'll see how we go, of the new approach I've come up with for Next.js cookie-based edge auth with Supabase. So you may have seen, if we switch over to the screen here, my previous tweet was about this approach, which worked okay, but had a few problems, namely you'd still get logged out, which is unfortunately a feature of quite a lot of Supabase auth implementations. Well, logged out early, I should say. You might return and a refresh will go wrong. And for whatever reason, you'll end up logged out. So this new approach essentially avoids all refreshing altogether, which I think is the way to go. So let's jump into the demo and just see what we're working with. So if I log in here on the left-hand side browser, you can see on the right-hand side, I can only see the public post, but now thanks to Supabase's awesome implementation of Postgres RLS, I can see the private post here. I can see comments. If we hop back over to the public post and I leave an example comment, another example comment, but that's all right. You can see real-time works perfectly with this approach, still using cookie auth, no refresh tokens, no access tokens. So how it works is essentially by having a Cloudflare worker running on /Supabase that proxies every request through and replaces its own managed session token, which is backed by Cloudflare KV, with a custom generated Supabase JWT. So that means I can request the auth user endpoint and it returns my current user no problem, because this being a browser, it's automatically sending the cookies along for us. We don't have to worry about that. And then the Cloudflare worker is changing that cookie out for the JWT and essentially acting like a proxy in the middle. And it's doing that also with real time. So that's the interesting thing on that side. The next interesting thing about using good old sessions again, instead of refreshing JWTs, is you get good old revoke basically instantly. So you can see I've signed in to Safari on the right-hand side. And if I revoke this session, you can see on the left-hand side, well, I've technically been logged out. I obviously need to update my UI here. Nothing a quick refresh can't solve. I get redirected to login without having to load the page first and see the little spinner and everything. It just redirects you straight to sign in. So if you're interested on how that works, there's a root level middleware that essentially does some clever rewriting. So the way it does this rewriting is we have this folder here in pages called _authenticated. And that is a mirror of every page we've got in this folder. There is another one in the authenticated folder. So if we look at our account page, our mirrored account page, it's essentially just re-exporting the account page out from the normal account page, which the implementation is irrelevant. But crucially, that has another piece of middleware that essentially, if this middleware ever gets reached, it means you're not authenticated. So it just redirects you over to the sign-in page. And the reason you don't ever reach it if you are logged in is because of this rewrite here. The other thing the Cloudflare worker includes is this special edge session endpoint, which when you forward on the cookie, it will tell you if it returns 200, it means yes, you are authenticated. It actually returns all the user and everything as well, but we don't need to spend the time doing the JSON decoding here or anything like that. And then we essentially just redirect onto the exact same page, but under that authenticated route structure. And if we don't, we're hitting next, which means that next middleware would run. So that's how the redirect works. There's also something quite nice we're doing as well, where we're double generating a set of statically generated pages, one with each layout. So this one here you can see has the sign in and sign up buttons. Whereas this hand side here has your user and the sign out button. And often I think we've all become used to the experience of visiting a website and seeing those sign in, sign up buttons, then quickly flick to the loading state, then you end up with what's here on the left hand side. But notice when I refresh here, there is a slight loading state there of the user, but critically the sign in and sign up buttons don't flip between that and the sign out button. So the way this is achieved is by using the Next.js get layout pattern. You can see here in the account page where the account page is probably not the best example. Let's look at the index page. We're using this dynamic layout, which all this does is on the client side, it returns either the authenticated layout or the unauthenticated layout. So because is logged in is always false in static generation, this will basically effectively always return the unauthenticated layout on the client side, on the server side, sorry. So then in our authenticated route, we can come here and if we find the index page, here it is. Oh, sorry, that's not in the authenticated folder. Here it is. We're overriding this get layout prop and replacing it with the authenticated layout. So now we get this double benefit of when we do the rewrite to the authenticated page, it shows the authenticated layout because it's already double. It's generated two sets of layouts, one with the unauthenticated layout and one with the authenticated layout. So I think there's a lot of benefits to using a cookie. The last one I'll mention is you don't have to check on the client side before you send your requests onto Supabase whether the user is or is not logged in. You can just send them straight off without having to do any of that. I don't know. It's a bit of a hassle, that check. But yeah, it's on GitHub if you want to give it a go for yourself or have a look at the code, see how it works. It is a work in progress and there's still some to-dos at the bottom, some things to work out. But this is definitely an approach I'll be using in my apps. So yeah, thanks for listening.